Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, 4D. Good evening, Viv.
Good evening, Bronze. Good evening, 4D.
It is Thursday, the 14th of August, 2025. Storm in a Teacup, episode 27.
Gentlemen,
Nice.
I am surrounded in a world of chipboard, and I'm telling you, I am so unhappy at the moment in a fun, jovial way. I need some furniture for the front room. I've got nothing to sort of store things, and I've gone everywhere looking for furniture. It's really hard to find somewhere that sells just front room furniture. And cut a long story short, I had to go to blooming IKEA. So I've gone to IKEA, looked at at first I couldn't even order that, but I've got around ordering it. I've ordered the stuff. A whopping, I don't even want to say the price of this stuff, but to me, I think I could have got solid wood for this price that I've paid for this chipboard. 10 boxes turned up, and I thought, right, they've turned up. This was on Sunday. I'll get the first one done. I couldn't even find. I've had to open every single box to find the bits for the one piece that I needed to build. I'm looking at the instructions. They no longer even put part numbers. It's literally just drawings, and there's no. You've got. I'm an engineer, as I like to claim, and even I found it absolutely like one of the hardest things I've done in a long time. So I've got one thing built, and I've got a room full of chipboard where I've put it into piles where I think I know which is for which. And I had literally an overload, and I thought, I'm going to do one of these a week. I can't handle this.
Well, a couple of things to that. First of all, there used to be, around my way, there used to be quite a few secondhand furniture shops, and they were really useful just to go in and browse around, and you'd always see something which would catch your eye. I guess they've kind of disappeared though these days. I haven't been looking for furniture myself recently, so I couldn't say. But yeah, I guess there's none around your way, 4D, of that sort.
Even the secondhand stores, there was one that was very close to me. As soon as I moved here, it was well known for its secondhand furniture, and that was the first place I went to go, and it's now become clothes and a coffee shop. I guess that was. I guess they couldn't keep the business going with just secondhand furniture.
Yeah. Second thing I'll say on that is, once you do manage to put everything together, you've done it correctly, because you're always going to have some bits left over. You're always going to have some screws and whatever left over. So you're going to be wondering, what have I missed?
One thing I will say for it is it's solid stuff. I guess chipboard being what it is, they've just made it 10 times thicker. The stuff is so heavy. I've got a bad back as it is. That's why that's another reason why it's taken me a long time. They are really heavy bits.
Yeah, I used to have a bed base from IKEA, and it was ridiculously heavy. It was, and overpriced. IKEA is overpriced. I would
Totally.
if I wanted some furniture, I'll tell you what. I mean, eBay might be worth a look. Something like that. Some of these sorts of websites that do all these secondhand type stuff.
Yeah, someone said about there's these free cycle things on Facebook as well, but I don't really. Well, I certainly haven't got an eBay account, and I don't use Facebook, so I guess the modern world is where I struggle with. I was just thinking to myself, a lot of people when they talk about a product, they say other companies are available, but in this instance, no, IKEA is the only one available for front room furniture.
Yeah, that's a bit weird, isn't it? I mean, there are kind of, I'm sure there are companies, maybe not companies, like small individual sort of independent places which do it, but those are going to be really expensive.
Oh yeah, really expensive, but good quality. I mean, we have loads in the place I live, and I've got most of my furniture for there. But there are places like Free Cycle, and what's that local one? You can just go in and they got furniture for sale. They got what's it called? God, sell stuff. You know, Gumtree. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
You can. Yeah, I think you do have to kind of create an account, but it's not a big deal with them. I've bought and sold stuff on Gumtree before.
Yeah.
I suppose to a large extent it's because I'm still lost in the old world. I don't really get on with computers, so I don't find these kind of places online for this. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've bought it now, so you're stuck with it.
Absolutely. Yep. Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you guys said you wanted to talk about dyslexia, and I went away and I thought about it.
Yeah.
And as I thought about it, I thought that's a really good idea because all of your ideas are good as far as I understand. But again, yeah, it's a conversation that not many people have. And do you two know the film Goonies?
I know of it. I think I watched it years and years and years ago, but I can't really remember it.
Yeah, I haven't watched that. Yeah, I haven't watched it. It's a Steven Spielberg film, I believe.
Yeah, well, there's a scene in it near the beginning that where I think the bad guys are called the Fratellis, I think it is, and they've caught the chubby guy called Chunk, and they've realised that the boys have seen something they shouldn't have seen, so they're interrogating Chunk, should we say, and they're saying right, and they grab him around the neck and they say, right, boy, tell us everything. And he has this breakdown, and he basically tells them everything from third grade, everything he's ever done, and it's quite a funny scene. And I was going to say with the dyslexia, it's kind of this where I'm going to say, right, I need to go right back to school because I think that's it's very poignant to get into what is dyslexia. So, well, and the schools I went to, I wouldn't say they were the great schools. They were. I remember getting cigarettes from the teachers. I remember a particular girl that would make money from the teachers with sexual escapades and stuff. It was terrible. It was quite a delinquent school, and yeah, and I never remember. I don't think I ever heard the word dyslexia. I think when I went through school, I think it's around just about the time I was at school that we even started talking about this word dyslexia. But anyway, so I was a dumb kid. I couldn't read or write, so I was in the sort of the delinquents class for reading and writing. And I often remember that I think I was kept on. I think they were called Johnny Yellow Hat and Billy Blue Hat and Roger Red Hat. That was it. I was stuck on them right up until I was about 13. I could, and I think they just didn't care about us. That's the point. And I couldn't read or write, so it was just like, right, he's dumb. He can't read or write. And hence, as I've said, I ended up being a toilet cleaner, but anyway, and luckily joined the army. And when I joined the army, I went back to school because I was going to become an engineer. So in the REME, so went back to school, did all my school stuff. I was clever enough to pass all the engineering exams. The only thing that they said to me, sorry, and going back, I got a diagnosis at the end of my school that I was dyslexic. It only just come into anyway. So then join the army, go through school. And in the army, in the trade group that I was in, you could either go an artificer route or an artisan route. One is more top management, and one's more bottom middle management sort of role. One is more paperwork, and one is less. And I was told at the end of my training, although I passed everything, that I couldn't go the artificer route because I was dyslexic. And they gave me the reasons, and and there are many real reasons. One of the main ones is for codes. Everything you do in the army is through codes, and if you're dyslexic, it's going to make that difficult as well. And reading and writing and stuff. But the other good thing about being in the army is I was away from home a lot, so I got used to having to write letters to people. So yes. And the reason I've told all that is, I was a terrible speller, and given this diagnosis of being dyslexic, and it even hindered my work. I'm dyslexic, can't read or write, so you can't do this. Okay, fair enough. I'm quite a clever person. I don't think it hinders me these days, but I did a lot of writing, and certainly writing to girls. And you don't want to look stupid when you write to girls, and so because I'm not a stupid person, I obviously found ways around it. And as I said to you before, if I couldn't spell a word, I would just in my head think of other words that meant the same but smaller until I found a word I could spell. I carried around a dictionary with me, but dyslexia is such that because my mind jumbles letters up, if I don't know the first three letters of a word, which happens quite often, a dictionary is no good to me. You can't go anywhere when you don't know the first three letters. But anyway, that's how I did it as a young dyslexic. Where I'm gonna end with this opening for the whole dyslexia thing is it's interesting. Am I just a bad speller, or is this word that they made up for people that are bad at spelling? Is it a real thing? Certainly, I found it easier having a title that, oh, by the way, you're dyslexic. But to explain dyslexia, my brain seems to muddle up letters. So, and one of the funny thing that happens to me, I think because I've got quite a dirty mind, and I think I'm going to have to put that out there to make this sense, but I'll walk down the streets and I'll look at a sign. And I think because I've got quite a smatty mind, because I can't read it, my brain seems to fill in the gaps. And I'll see something that's totally rude or totally naughty, shall we say, and I'll go, hang on, what did that say? And I have to stare at it, and I go, oh, you fucking idiot, it didn't say that, it says this. Happens to me nearly every day, where my brain, I think because I struggle with words, my brain tries to fill in the bits that it has struggled, and because it doesn't understand the pattern of the word, it just throws anything in there. So my reality of words becomes very warped, even though I'm looking at the same word as you two. Now, I'm not trying to make excuses, or I'm not trying to sound dumb or clever, but dyslexia, like your numeral problem, Viv, it's really interesting. So that's me. Put it onto a plate, and we'll carry on from there.
Yeah, well,
yeah, very good, very good. Yeah,
I think the first question, which you've kind of half answered, is what exactly is dyslexia? And the way I've always understood it is, like you've said, 4D, you just get letters jumbled up. When you see a word, the letters in the word are jumbled up. Is that right? So
yes, and the interesting part of that is it's all to do with colour. So a dyslexic will have there's lots of different dyslexics, and my particular dyslexia was that apparently under AC light at such a high rate, that's apparently where my dyslexia comes out. Other people, it's under red light, blue light, yellow light. Sorry for interrupting. So there's lots of different lighting problems with dyslexia.
Right. No, you just dropped out for a bit there, so I didn't catch what you said.
Oh, sorry.
So you're saying it's the color of the light depends on how bad your dyslexia is. Yeah. Is that what you said?
For some people, for mine in particular, it was a alternating current. So when I'm under an alternating current light, I seem to not be able to see words as well as I can. And I think I'm right in saying that if I have a red filter on blue filter on my computer screen, that apparently helps me out.
Right. Okay. So almost any artificial light is it worsens your dyslexia. Is that what you're saying? So if you're sitting at home and you've got your lights on in your house, that will be, so it's AC lighting, right? So another question. It jumbles up letters in the word, but is it all the same letters in the word? So say pick a word and it has I don't know, pick any word. So it's not adding different letters or removing letters. It's just you're still seeing the same letters in the word, but they're just all in the wrong order. Is that right?
Yes, definitely. It's the wrong order thing. I think it's kind of like that. Yeah, as I say, I think it's like I look at the word, and because my brain gets confused, it sees the letters that are there, but for some reason it just jumbles them up.
So it doesn't change the letters in the word. It doesn't add randomly.
No.
Right.
No.
Okay. Right. Okay. And do you happen to know? Does anybody know what is the cause of dyslexia? What is it which creates this condition?
I suppose I wonder if it's attributed like color blindness or something to do with the eyes. If a lot of them, and as I say, different dyslexics have different filters that they can use, and they'll go, "Oh my god, I can read and write better now." Yellow is another popular filter apparently for different dyslexics. So, is it or with me with AC? Is it because is it my brain sees the flickering and that is confusing it? I don't know.
I don't know. I guess what I'm getting at is it some kind of brain disorder?
Yes.
Is it something? The process of the light entering your eyes and then being processed by your brain. Your brain it has a problem processing it somehow or other. There's some kind of malfunction there.
Well, how would you explain yours, Viv, with numbers?
Well, a lot of it is because I'm scared of numbers because of school. I think it's again psychological with me that I remember in maths classes completely losing my way. The teacher would ask me things, and I just get so embarrassed. Up to a certain point, it was fine, but then after a point, I was really backward and behind in the class, and the teacher would eventually stop asking me questions, and I fell so behind.
That's
So
exactly how I
it's a
felt.
kind of it's a sort of shame as well, you know. And I just hide myself and think and so it's very hard to say with this dyscalculia or dyscalculia, whatever it's called, how that starts. I do know that doing this job and doing various jobs, it's got better, and I'm not so scared of numbers. I can handle it now. Before my head used to spin. You know, I'd look at totaling stuff up, for example, and I'd look at it, and my mind would go blank, and it would start spinning. I'd feel dizzy. You know, the words would spin and just shift, and I couldn't make sense of any of it. So yeah, that's essentially it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a large aspect of it, because I suppose that's exactly how I felt about words. I was the dunce. I was taking the mickey out for it. And as I've got older, as I say, it's difficult to say am I dyslexic or just a rubbish speller. But no, I'm not. It's not that I'm a rubbish speller. It is that my brain just doesn't see the patterns. But I think you're right. It would stem from that stress, that fear feeling that I'm looking at letters, I don't know letters, so that my juvenile brain just panics, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is it a kind of a is it something you're born with, or is it something that develops? Is it a psychological situation that develops through some kind of childhood trauma, I guess? But there does seem to be a bit of difference between Viv's situation and yours, 4D, because as Viv, as you said, it has improved because you've just kind of been forced to work with numbers, and as you've been more exposed and gained more experience at it, it's improved. Whereas I'm not sure that dyslexia, 4D, maybe you can confirm or deny, but with dyslexia, just sort of working with words doesn't necessarily help. I don't know.
Yeah,
Right?
I think that seems to be the case. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're right, and yeah, in a way, but I would say, and it's probably the same as Vic. Like, I've got better in as much as because I know that I take longer to read or to write something because I know that I've got a problem with it. So I try to get over the fear of being not able to spell the word, but remembering, I'm not very good at spelling, and I but no, it does. It never goes away. But I bet Viv's. I bet it never goes away for Viv. It's just that yes, it's got better, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, not being able to read or write is something that you can overcome. You can learn to read or write just by doing it and practicing it. But I guess actually being dyslexic, it doesn't work that way. You can't just work at it and make it go away. But also another interesting thing is so you don't have this problem 4D with numbers. You only have this with letters.
No, and I was going to say,
why is that? That's interesting. Why is it? Why do you not get dyslexic with numbers? Why do you not jumble up numbers when you see them? Why is it only letters?
Right. So, and it'd be the same for Viv, and it's really interesting. So, when we write, what our brain is doing is it's not remembering how to spell the word. It's remembering the pattern that the word looks like when it's written down. So we are still like with hieroglyphics. And so when the Egyptians looked at hieroglyphics, they've just remembered the patterns. The difference with numbers is that you don't So when you two, when I say to you, how do you spell battlefield? Just because I just saw that in front of me, you two go in your heads. You look at how the word looks as a pattern, and then you tell me how it's spelled. I can't seem to see that pattern because, as I've explained, my brain messes the pattern up. But when it comes to numbers, the way we deal with numbers is it's more of a logic problem. So when you two say to me, 40, what's 2 plus 2? And I go, it's 4. How I've done that is there's no pattern recognition. I've said, right, I know what 2 is, and roughly together, I think that's around about 4. And that was too simple equation to use. But basically, we do that through logic, maths. But with words, we do it through pattern recognition. And this is why people that are very good spellers could be really poor with numbers, and vice versa.
But do you not see like a number written on a page and it has the same effect when you try and look at the numbers? So it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you not see it as 1, 5, 3, 4, 2 or something like that? You know,
I've seen 6s as 8s when there's no reason for them to look like an 8, and I think I've also got 6s and 9s mixed up, but very, very rare. Like only if I'm rushing something, I suppose. Because, and again, I feel confident with numbers. I don't feel confident with letters. It's definitely a thing, and I'd like to throw that back at Viv. Are you confident with letters and not confident with numbers?
Correct. I'm obsessed with letters. Yeah. I'm obsessed with spelling. I know I can see when I've written a word, because I did have problems with spelling, and over a long, long period, I simply wrote down every single word that I couldn't spell. I wrote it down, and I wrote mnemonics as well, until I could even spell a word like diarrhea, which is one of the most difficult words to spell. And a lot of words I still misspell. So maybe it's all connected. I don't know. Maybe it's brain wiring. But with me, with the spelling, it's made me very, very obsessed with spelling and getting the spelling completely correct. Yeah. With numbers, it's a bit more difficult. It's a bit more difficult, as I don't have that grounding in numbers, from school. I mean, I've always been good at English literature, English language, and I've just built on that, and that's been my interest, and it's slightly obsessive. But numbers, I don't know. Is this really just basically simply a matter of practice? I'm not sure. I don't know if it is.
Well, I think there is an element of whether your brain is more on the logic side or more on the logic side. I don't know what that means about a person, but I think it's definite two different aspects of the brain. I think
you're talking left brain, right brain sort of thing.
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, what you said about the seeing words in as patterns, that I think that is very true, because when I've always been pretty good at spelling, and sometimes when I look at a word, I'll write a word and I may not be sure how to spell it correctly, but I'll write it and I'll look at it and I'll just think that looks wrong. I won't necessarily know how to spell it correctly. I might have to look it up, but I can just see, just looking at it, that looks wrong.
That's what happens to me. That's exactly what happens to me.
So it's like you've got a better pattern recognition than me, sort of thing.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
perhaps.
Maybe for words and letters, perhaps, yeah.
But it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop me from continually misspelling words. And the worst one, the one that everyone makes the mistake, is the rule I after E except after C. Now, damned if I. Sorry, I before C. Yeah, I before C except after I before E except after C. And every time I'm doing it, and I realise, I look at it and I think that's wrong, but I go back and correct it.
But you know what?
I don't know, but I can see that it's wrong, but I write it incorrectly. The I sees though.
This is one of the really just crazy things about the English language. We have these rules, right? Just like the one you just said, I before E except after C. But it doesn't always apply.
Always the case, yeah.
Sometimes that's not the way it is, and so it's just like, oh my god, it's crazy.
I know.
So
The word dyslexia itself it always makes me smile, because if I don't think about it, if I just want to say to you how I think dyslexia is spelled, dyslexia is DXL. I know that's the first three letters. Now I know I'm wrong, but I only know I'm wrong through years of thinking that's how dyslexia is spelled. And when I sit here and I break that down and I go DXL, it makes no sense. It doesn't sound like dyslexia. And so I know I'm wrong, but still my brain says dyslexia, DXL. I will never get that wrong, because that's the first three letters. I still think that's how it's spelled. Now, am I stupid that I haven't learned that? Or is there this pattern recognition that's just not going on, sort of thing, you know?
It is something with regards to that, I'd say you can just drill into your brain.
Yes.
You know, so because it's wrong. You know, DXL is not a word; it's just three letters, and it's even as an abbreviation of dyslexia. It's you got the X and the L in the wrong place, because the L comes before X in dyslexia, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And so you can pretty much, it's just, I think in that particular point, you could just sit down and really be, bore yourself stupid just by going over it and drumming it in and getting it in your head, because that's how we learn, basically, at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And is it an interest? Is it that my brain is interested with numbers, so I get that right, but it's not interested with letters, so I don't care about that? And is it the same? But I think, but I think you're more spot on, where I think it comes down to bad teaching or a childhood trauma, where you just have a bit of a. I was petrified of words, or petrified of being told by a girlfriend I was stupid or dumb. I mean, they used to call me dumb a lot. I still to this day, I hate that word, because it used to, I used to cry a lot and all that sort of stuff over it. And you realise when you get older how that can be quite traumatic,
really, really traumatic. I mean, dyslexia has got nothing whatsoever to do with your intelligence. Nothing whatsoever.
No, and that's the one thing I'd like to point out is I genuinely don't think I'm a dumb person at all anymore. And I really genuinely don't think that anyone with a number problem is stupid. I don't think anyone with a letter problem is stupid. We just all learn very, very differently. It's like you've got audio learners, visual learners, and kinetic learners. Well, I don't know. Maybe numbers is more kinetic, more logic. So if you're a kinetic learner, you pick up on that. And what would pattern I suppose it would be visual. So if you're more of a visual learner, maybe you're better with words because you're better at picking up the pattern.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just remember when I was first started, like primary school. I think I started when I was 4. And as early as I can remember, I was pretty good at spelling. And I guess if I wasn't, and I struggled with it, it could become a real psychological barrier. And so something I'd still like to try and find out is like whether it is just a condition that you have, or it's something that happens to you when you're very young, which creates this problem. Whether it's something inherent in you, like they say, genetics versus environment. Whether it's one of those two.
I know it's really interesting. It's the nature versus nurture argument all over again.
My dad was terrible. My dad was terrible with letters.
Genetic, then. I mean, I know genetics has rolled out as everything. Everything is genetic now since they've discovered the gene. And so they think, oh, well, yeah, that's a good pointy head thing to say. But there is an argument about dyslexia running in families. So I don't know.
Well, I was, I mean, my mum was had a very good education, and I can just remember her all the time, always correcting my talk, my speech. She'd always correct my speech when I'd start to sort of drop H's or say better instead of better, and she'd always correct. And when I got to an age when I sort of started to grow out of just reading kids comics, she was really concerned that I start reading books, like proper books, even kids' books, but just books with just words in them. That was really important to her, and she really kind of pushed me to do that. So yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of contributed to everything, but
definitely another aspect of it. Again, from a Pompey upbringing, we were very Cockney, didn't finish our words. It's very normal to the way we spoke. So I can understand that I probably didn't know how a word was spelt because water was water. There was no water. I didn't learn that until I went to school, into the army sort of thing, water. So there is an element of that, and that's even appropriate. There's a Chinese lady that I know, and this is going to sound like I'm taking the mickey, and I'm not. She was saying to me that she needed to get some fly spray, and she sent the message, "I'm buying fry spray." Now we take the mickey, and that's how we. Well, yeah, and we kind of laugh and take the mickey out. But I suddenly realised, is it that she actually thinks that's how we say it? So is there a? Do you know what I mean? It's not that they're stupid. Again, it's nothing to do with that. It's just that they haven't understood it. It's fly, and that's all it is.
Well, what I think that is, with Japanese especially, probably similar with Chinese, they don't have the L sound in their language.
Yes,
that's why they have trouble pronouncing it. And it always transfers into like maybe an R when they try and speak in English. And maybe she's not learnt that from reading. Maybe she's learnt that just from hearing it. You know,
that's what I was thinking. Exactly.
So when she says, when she means to say fly, she just says fry. You know, and that's, she thinks that's, you know, that's how to spell it. That could be it. You know.
Yep.
It's very well, it's very cool. That's I love education. I love intelligence. Sorry, it's a really interesting subject to go down. Everyone has their idea of what intelligence is, but it is a very like you, Bronze. I'd love to know if you could sort of put mine and Viv's brain under a scanner and see where the issue in the brain was, or if it couldn't be seen, meaning it's just our problem. Again,
I'd love to do that, lads, but I don't have an electron microscope at hand.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I dare say the MRI business is quite interesting. Looking at the brain and which areas fire up. I dare say that there's been experiments on dyslexia. Now, just to say this, I was thinking: is dyslexia? Is there something to do with language in each country? So I've got up a world population review of dyslexia overall in the countries of the world. And do you know the top dyslexic country is Nigeria at 11%?
11%,
and that's the highest.
That is the highest. But weirdly, yeah, I know. But weirdly enough, I mean, Japan is quite high now. I'm not at all surprised. Not surprised.
Just confirm, like 11% is a huge amount of a population to be dyslexic.
Yeah.
I mean, with Japanese, obviously their alphabet. They don't use the Western alphabet. They use their symbols. You know, the Japanese symbols.
Yeah, and there's three different types as well.
Yeah, so I wonder if that has something to do with it. I mean, Nigerian, I guess they use the Western alphabet. I'm not sure. I could be wrong in their native tongue.
Surely the alphabet you're using is irrelevant. It's whether you understand the patterns of your native.
Is it irrelevant though? Because we are talking about written language, and I'm looking at Russia is at 10%.
Wow.
So what's the UK and America like then on that list?
UK is 4%.
4%, right?
Yeah. UK, so, I don't see stats for USA. Okay. Oh no, I do. Oh my God! United States is 8.3. Because I was thinking, is this anything to do with the particular language? I mean, Russian has the Cyrillic alphabet. It has that weird alphabet, doesn't it? So does Japan. But and I was looking around and thinking, what about Anglophone countries, the English-speaking countries? But that doesn't correlate.
No, because they're twice the percentage of us, which you wouldn't assume that would be the case.
That's right. That's
I mean,
right. So it doesn't quite. My theory is gone. You know, it's completely gone. Actually.
Yeah, but I mean, also the point that you mentioned a while back about Egyptian hieroglyphics as well,
Mm,
where you're just talking about symbols.
mm,
And to me, that kind of made me think about the Japanese alphabet, because in a way,
mm.
the Japanese and Chinese as well are symbols rather
They
than
are symbols.
are letters which go to make up words like we have.
Totally, they are symbols. I mean, look at the word for neko, uh, which is cat. It's basically a cat in symbolic form.
Mm.
But all words, all letters are symbols as such. You know, they're
So maybe
codified.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Yeah.
codified. They're codified speech. Speech is different from the written word. The written word is not the same as speech. It's a
yeah.
poor replication of speech. Speech
And
comes first. You know.
yeah, and remember when we were very, very young and they were teaching us our letters, they just got you to go over the letter, like again, basically just repetition to do an A. But that's not how you did maths. They didn't say 2 plus 2. Right, now do it again, 2 plus 2. They gave us a different math. So you can see how it is literal. Just learn how that pen goes around that. Right, that symbol is an A. Do you get me?
Yeah.
It's literal.
Yeah, well,
Just remember the symbol.
I don't
Yeah.
actually remember learning my alphabet when I was a kid. I remember that in maths they used to get us to do our 12 times table. You know, 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 2, 3 times 3,
Yes,
you know,
that
up to
one's definite
12.
repetition.
We used to
Yeah,
have to do that over and over again. But I do remember there was this little independent school, tiny little posh private or public independent school around the corner from where I lived. And some of the kids on my road went there, and and they were when we were talking about letters. Like I learnt letters as A, B, C, D. Yeah, but they were taught them kind of more phonetically. So they would say A, B, T, D, and I'd look at them
yeah.
and say, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, that's really weird. That was so weird to me that they're being taught the alphabet that way. But
I remember being taught A, B, K, D, E. So,
yeah, yeah.
like,
Which is, I guess, is more useful because you're learning the letters as they sound, rather than just their
Yeah.
names, if you like. You know.
That's right. There's a lot of contention about phonetics, but if they do, in fact, if in fact phonetics are a bridge between speech and the written speech, spoken speech and written speech, then that explains why the British government got rid of phonetics, because they do work. It works. Maybe. I mean, I can't see why they get rid of phonetics, because everything they do is to mess us up. Everything they do is contrary. Everything they do is inverse of what is correct and works.
yeah, but that doesn't work because I was learnt phonetics and I was still rubbish.
Ah,
So.
all right.
I think I think another aspect maybe as well is, and this may go back to a very first bad experience with this whole thing, and that's actually being interested in language, being interested in spelling and reading and writing, which I was. And I don't know where that came from. I don't know if that was drilled into me when I was very young, or it's just something that was in me. But if you have an interest in something, you're always going to do it much better than if you don't
Yes.
have an interest. And so if you don't have an
Mm.
interest, or you don't have an interest instilled in you, or you don't have confidence, given, you don't have kind of, I lost the word now. But anyway, yeah, if you're not given confidence about something, then you're probably just not going to be interested in it. You know, self-esteem. You know, if you're given self-esteem over a certain thing, that you feel
Yeah.
that good about it and that you can do it, and it's something that you're able to do. Whereas if you're just being called, if you start off on a bad foot, if you go to a bad school like you did 4D, and you're not taught very well, you're not taught the basics properly, and you're not encouraged and given confidence, then you're just going to not be interested in it, and you're just, and that sets you off on the wrong foot right from the beginning.
Absolutely, yeah. And interest, I think, is probably it's got to be one of the strongest reasons. And people say to me, "Oh, you seem to have your knowledge about all sorts of things," and it's like, no, I'm not knowledgeable about lots of things. I'm just interested in lots of things. So whether it's science, maths, history, like I just seem to be interested in a lot more things, and that's where I always say intelligence isn't really how clever it is. It's just how interested you are in things. I only know things about the planets because I was interested. If you're not interested in planets, why would you know anything about the planets? And that can be used for everything.
Well, I found that going sort of touching back onto the education system when I was at school. You do all your classes. You do your English, your mathematics, your sciences, your biology, physics, chemistry, etc., etc. And I was not really interested in any of them. Okay, and I managed just to, I didn't really enjoy school. I scraped through with a few basic grades at the end of it. And then when I left school, I started getting into stuff. I started getting into science and physics and reading more, and my mind was just blown because I was really getting into stuff after I left school and finding stuff really interesting that they had taught me at school. And I just thought, why did I not find this interesting at school? And I just thought because of the way they were teaching it,
Of course.
they were just not teaching it in a way which made it interesting. It was boring. I wasn't interested. It was only when I started getting into it for myself and finding my own way when I left school, it all became massively interesting and I really got into it. It was just really, it's quite a shock. It's like this education system is really not good.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I think. That's why when you said about talking about it, I just thought that's a really interesting, because it is just, as I say, intelligence. All of this is so interesting. What it means. What someone that's colorblind doesn't see the same colors as me. That's you can't be called stupid because you can't see the same colors as me. And we to try and define what is dyslexia, what is numeralexia, whatever that one's, numberlexia. What it really means, and I think fundamentally it's fear and interest. But school, I mean, when you're 8 years old, why are you going to be interested in history? Now I'm so interested in history. I often think, why did we go to school in the years when we're not interested about shit? You're probably better off going to school from 20 to 30.
Well, yeah. I mean, history at school for me was so boring, right? I wanted to learn about 20th century history, but we were learning stuff about kind of way back. We started off with I mean, I suppose it is something worth learning, but at the time, we were learning about the Norman conquests and then all of this kind of medieval history, which was so far removed from where my head was at that it was just I couldn't engage with it at all. And also history exams at that level at that time just were basically about writing. You had to write about 4 essays on subjects. It's like writing essays was like just the worst thing you want to do as a kid. Sit down and write pages and pages and pages about something. I mean now it's kind of like, we learned about the Peasants' Revolt. I can remember that. I can't remember much about my history lessons because I didn't pay any attention. But like I said, we learned about the old kind of Mott and Bailey type sort of defensive structures they used to have back in medieval times. It's all very, very sketchy what I can remember. And now that's quite interesting to me because I kind of revisit it now. I actually sort of find my own interest in it on my own path. But back then it was just like, oh, this is just really boring. I don't want to know about this. I want to learn about the Second World War. I want to learn about the First World War, stuff like that. The Industrial Revolution and stuff like that. It was crazy.
A big problem with history is it being taught in schools is this. Again, it's about rote learning, and you learn the dates, and that's why one of the best history books you could ever read is a comedy book which was written years ago called 1066 and all that. And it's written from a schoolboy's point of view, and it is very witty. But dates, well, it tells you something. It does tell you something, of course. But to write an interesting history lesson, you've got to write about connections and what perhaps connections the Peasants' Revolt has with the 20th and 21st centuries, in Britain. What are the peasants revolting again now in 2025? Is this another incipient peasants' revolt? That kind of thing. But no. It's generally just dates, strings of dates, which don't mean anything. The unification of Europe, it just killed me. Oh my God. The revolutions in Europe in the 19th century, we went through it. I did the O-level in this. And I managed to pass, but God knows how I did. Because to me, it was so dull. But now I'm thinking, I see. Germany wasn't a nation until 1871. I get that.
I mean, even the Peasants' Revolt was presented incorrectly because it wasn't a revolt of the peasants. This is something I learned like years after I left school when I started. It wasn't the peasants. It wasn't the peasants. It was what was effectively the middle classes of the time. The emergent
middle class. Of course.
It's completely wrong. Just it's tied to it right from the very beginning. The whole thing about Peasants' Revolt is misinformation.
Totally.
So history is bunk.
Most revolutions, almost all revolutions, are led by a certain middle class, lower middle class bourgeoisie, whatever you want to call the merchant class. Increase and the attempt to increase their powers. I mean, the Russian Revolution sort of wasn't. French Revolution sort of wasn't, but then it was taken over. It was a genuine working class uprising in France in 1789, but then it was taken over by people who could use it. Same with communists, really. I mean, the communists started killing the middle class, the kulaks, the peasant farmers with land and property. So but we digress a bit, I think. Well, I do anyway.
We always do. We always do. That's
I know.
No, I think that leads nicely onto, I think, really massive news that happened today. Did you guys hear that Suella Braverman was out protesting in Portsmouth with the anti-migrants?
Oh,
yeah.
And I honestly think that is a massive, massive move. And I'd love to see what's going to be said about this tomorrow.
Yeah. Sorry, just before we get into that, can we just try and sort of maybe draw a line under the dyslexia thing about just to kind of bookend it, if you like. So I mean, just in a nutshell, what is it? Is it nature or is it nurture? What do you think? Is it
both?
something?
Could be both.
Yeah,
I'm thinking.
I think I spent the whole week thinking about it. I've had a really interesting week just thinking about it. I think to a certain extent we've summed most of it up. It's just interest or fear, and a lot of kids are bullied in school. I was bullied heavily, and I think that has a large contributing factor as to why I was bad speller. Yeah,
but I mean, it's always going to be the case. Some kids will be better at some things, and other kids will be better at other things. Every person's an individual. They have their own personal, talents, if you like. So I guess are we saying that dyslexia is probably just kids who are perhaps just set off, on the wrong foot at a very early age, who maybe don't have the particular inclination to go the route of language and spelling and this, that, and the other, and then that just gets compounded upon by being called dumb and being misunderstood.
There is that, but maybe they're too clever for school.
Well, there is that as well. Yeah. But that's a whole different conversation, Viv. That's another different.
Yeah. Sure.
I think it's all true. I think it's all contributing factors, but I do think it still comes down to the pattern recognition. Literally, and recently, I've worked out how to know how to spell the two theirs, and I say recently, it's literally a month ago, I think it was.
Oh yeah, I know.
Now, I clearly cannot remember the pattern, but the way now I've been taught to remember it, and I think I do this with a lot of words, and I do it with people's names as well. I've often said, if someone tells me their name, if I can't remember their name, I have to put a story to them. So, for instance, if I knew someone called Charlie, but I couldn't remember their name, Charlie, I would see them rubbing their nose a lot, and I'd think, oh, Charlie, drugs. Whenever I see her, I'm going to think of drugs. That's her name, Charlie. And so I have to have a story to how I can remember people's names. And then once my brain gets used to, oh, that person's name's Charlie, then I don't need the story that goes with it. But I think it's always there. And this is what I did with there. I was sat with someone and we were like, right, why can't I work out which there is there? And in the end, it was like, right, I means me. So if it's THIRE or ER, I'll never forget how the last two are put. If it's an I, it means me. It means it's something to do with someone. Cool. There. It's their thing. But if it's ERE, then it's nothing to do with me. So it's over there. So now I know that I'm always going to get, or hopefully 99% of the time, I'm going to get the two theirs right. Not because I've remembered how it's spelled, not because I've remembered the pattern, but I've put a story to the I in the word that's going to remind me.
That's very, very good.
Well, no, I mean that is a very, very effective way of learning. I've used that. That's a very common tactic to use when learning. Just association with something else.
Association,
and that's a really good way of learning. I've used it in the past. My current occupation at the moment, I use that a lot. That's something you do a lot when you're sort of learning stuff. But just to sorry 4D, just to screw you over, there is a third there.
Over there, their thing, and there. What's the other there?
Well, it's a contraction of they are there.
Oh,
yeah, right. So and that's they are, and that's the shortened. Yeah.
No, that's the contraction or the shortened version of they are there, with an apostrophe after the THY, the RE, after the Y, there. Oh, of course.
I'm not too bad with that one. So I always remember the apostrophe means there's some letter or letters missing. So I'm not too bad with that one.
Yeah. It's that it's either that or the one that everyone gets wrong is an apostrophe is also used to mean
possessive. Yes.
So
like Viv's.
Viv's books, Viv's brain, and it would have to be VIB. Oh God Almighty! Misspelled my own name. VIV apostrophe S. Viv's books. Viv's hand.
Oh, I see. You're talking about when there's an apostrophe on an S and when it's needed and when it's not needed.
Yeah.
If there's no apostrophe, it becomes a plural. Like Viv, there's one Viv, or there's two Vivs. That's no apostrophe.
That's right. It's got to have the apostrophe to denote possession. Indeed. Yeah.
Oh, I see. See, again, I suppose there's these little rhymes that you should remember as a kid, and maybe I just didn't remember those rhymes.
Yeah. Another thing I could point out, which is really helpful, is a so-called mnemonic, which is a very difficult word in itself because it starts with a silent M and it's spelled MNEMONIC, a mnemonic, and it means a memory aid. So if I often use this if I don't know how to spell a word, I'll find a mnemonic. So diarrhea is a very, very hard word to learn to spell correctly. It almost everyone gets it wrong. So I use the mnemonic. Diarrhea is a really runny heap of endless amounts.
Right, yeah.
And that will give you the spelling, right?
If that was a word I used a lot, I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
Going back to last week, 4D, when you said you had trouble with the word philosophy, right, and philosophical. Okay, I thought kind of using that same kind of technique. I thought maybe a way to try and remember that is to think of it as an Irish guy's name, Phil O. Sophic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I will try to. philosophic. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got it. Yeah,
I got it.
That's very philosophic.
philosophical. Top of the
Yeah.
morning to you.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. Top of the morning, Phil. Top of the morning, son.
But yeah, okay. Listen, so yeah, sorry to Suella Braverman. You're talking about 4D.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you closed that one down. And also, just to end, if you do suffer, if you're younger and you suffer with any of that, don't think you're stupid, because trust me, you're not. It's literally your brain just works differently to other people's. And as the three of us have just discussed, I think it's down to us as an individual to find different ways of learning. If you're finding it difficult, just find a different way of learning it. I think you're either going to be a good speller or a bad speller. You're either going to be good with numbers or not good with numbers.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it too much.
No, that's superb advice. I'd like to say to anyone who's listening, who's thoughtful about this, is don't get hung up about this. Okay, as 4D says, it doesn't mean you're stupid. You've got other great talents. Maybe you haven't even explored them. That don't necessarily mean about words swimming around or numbers swimming around. Okay, you could be a great painter. You could be a great gardener. All sorts of things.
Just
never put yourself down over this.
Do what you're interested in. Follow your heart. Do what interests you, and you'll do it well.
Yeah, that's right.
At the end of the day.
Yep.
So
Suella Braverman, I think it was a massive move. She was down in Waterlooville today, out with the anti-immigration sort of groups that are happening. Sorry, I'm trying to find the right word that's politically correct. Yeah, the gatherings down in, and I just thought that's a great, massive move. What's going to happen from that? Great.
Well, yeah. Apparently, she is she made history by doing that, because she is the first MP ever to do that. And she's also she is a Conservative MP. And she does seem to be pretty sound, Suella Braverman. She is now starting, she's saying the right things recently, along with Robert Jenrick as well. Seems to be trying to state a case for himself. How genuine he is remains to be seen. But yeah, and very telling. Yeah, she made a speech at the anti-migrant protests. She came out in support of them, which was really good to see. But what is very telling, that Reform have told their members they're not allowed to get involved in any way, shape or form with this, which is just unbelievable. I mean, they are dead in the water, Reform, as far as I'm concerned. They are done. They are toast. They still may win the next election, but in my mind, they are just as bad as the rest of them now.
I think I called them out really early on, but I agree with you. I think people are definitely seeing it now. And was it you, Bronze, that sent me something about someone had sort of said, do you trust the plan? A whole Q thing.
Oh, it was this guy Charlie. He appears he's like a Conservative commentator. Dan Wootton has him on sometimes. I think he's a GB News contributor. Let me just bring it up here. His name's Charlie somebody, and he put a post on X. Where are we now? So let me just find it. Charlie Downs is his name, and he put a post on X of a picture of him standing next to Rupert Lowe, pointing at Rupert Lowe, and he basically, what did he say? He said, oh shoot. Oh yeah, and underneath the picture, he said, "Are you doubting the plan, Anons?" And that was it. And pointing to Rupert Lowe. I mean, that was kind of a bit out of the blue, that one, because I wouldn't have associated either of those two with anything to do with Q. But that's obviously what the reference was, and pointing to Rupert Lowe, insinuating that somehow he's part of the quote unquote plan, was very like, is he just stirring up some shit here, or is there something a bit more to that? That was a bit weird.
It is, and I I think a lot. I hear a lot of people talking about civil war. I think we've said this a couple of weeks, but I think I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think we're already in civil war. It's just that it hasn't spilled over to everyone's knowledge at the moment. But it is. I think we're right in the middle of it. A lot of people seem to be really coming out where they are now. I think for many years I've been, is reform right? Are they wrong? Is this person right? Is this wrong? The last couple of weeks, dare I say, since Tommy Robinson's release from prison, it just seems everyone has started to make different moves, and if there is such a thing as a plan going on, I can definitely see pieces moving at the moment.
Well, I mean, in terms of the plan and the whole Q thing, what's happening over in the US really is starting to align with a lot of it.
It's exciting for me. Yeah.
The National Guard into Washington, DC, draining the swamp, Trump talking about clearing up the crime in DC, with a few people saying maybe he's not necessarily talking about just the crime on the streets. He's talking about the crime in the higher levels of government in DC, which pertains, which could also be known as draining the swamp. And we've had a lot of American political interest over here recently. I mean, obviously we had Trump come over to Scotland. We had the Jim Jordan delegation. Now we've had JD Vance come over, and he met with that idiot Lammy.
I can't believe that they're mates.
No, they're not mates. They're not mates.
They're not.
He is probably he's basically laying it out to Lammy and saying this is how it is and this is what you must do, otherwise it's curtains. I reckon that's basically the bottom line of that. I can't see it being any other way. I think
he's doing exactly the same as Trump. I think he's doing exactly the same as Trump, where Trump has said to him, just tell them you love them, kill them with kindness. Perhaps that's his way around this, because as I said to you, he always said, oh, me and Xi Jinping, I like him, he's a really nice guy. Leader of France, love him. Oh, leader of this, Trump always loves, and deep down that's not true. Or he's just playing them like a fiddle, like they've been playing us.
Well, mate, no, I mean, maybe he does actually. See, who knows? There could be so many deeper things going on here. I mean, maybe he did forge a relationship with Xi Jinping, because the Xi Jinping is the the titular head of China, but maybe he's not fully invested in the whole CCP situation. Maybe Trump's kind of met with him and said, look, we can work something out here. And Xi Jinping's kind of they have some little kind of nice agreement going on. The same with Putin, the same with Kim Jong, whatever his name is, maybe Trump just has leverage over them somewhere or another.
I've got a different view of this. I mean, nobody can really afford to be nasty about China, because for two reasons, particularly if you're American. From the United States, you're not going to upset China, because China is one of the main holders of American bonds, reserve currencies. I mean, if certain countries divest themselves of the dollar as a reserve currency, America would be in real trouble economically. Plus, secondly, China is now the manufacturer of the world. This is where they make the products. This is where everything comes from. I know this.
Well, this is but this is what Trump is trying to change. He's trying to bring that back to the US. The manufacturing that's all been outsourced to China, and he's now trying to bring it back. And it seems like he has the power and the wherewithal to do it. And he's kind of gone to Xi Jinping and said, "Look, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to do." And maybe the whole Chinese economy is not that stable and is not that robust. Maybe it could well be like a kind of house of cards, and Trump could be saying, look, I'm going to pull this card out of the bottom of this pile, bottom of this house of cards. It's all going to come tumbling down because I've got the power to do it.
And at the same time, I sometimes wonder to myself, when we talk about these huge countries such as America, Russia, China, are they really countries, or are they a collection of regions? Because there are parts of America which are very different to each other. We know about the North-South divide, of course, but then there are a lot of other divides in America. There's the Rust Belt, there's the flyover states, there's, you know, and the same with Russia. And there's, I'm sure, Siberia is very different from more southerly places. I'm sure that China is being such a huge country, and India as well. I mean, look at India; it's made up of loads of states.
Well, you could even say the same about this country.
Yes,
there's a
you
lot
could.
of disparity between regions in this country, and we're tiny compared to those.
Exactly. So I think we should take that into consideration as well.
Yeah.
I go back to the early Q stuff as well, and I think a lot of us went down in different rabbit holes. But one of the major early ones was that the whole world is controlled by three countries. It's the Vatican City, City of London, and Washington DC. And apparently, what it is Washington DC holds the military might for the world. The Vatican holds the religious might for the world, and the City of London holds the financial might of the world. And that those three places control the world. So when we talk about China or any of the countries, I think, and when we go into the Q stuff and we talk about the deep state and this idea that what's going on at the moment is that I think all of us are being played by just a few planetary leaders.
Well, yeah, I mean, I did see a video earlier on today, which had quite an interesting angle on this summit between Trump and Putin, which is going to happen in Alaska.
Yeah,
and how the whole of the European countries are all like throwing their toys out of the pram because they've not been invited.
Yeah.
And the whole premise of it is it's all about resolving the situation in Ukraine. And this guy was saying it's quite possible it's not about that at all. What it is basically Trump and Putin trying to work out a solid alliance between the USA and Russia. And the reason that the European leaders are freaking out so much is because that's their worst nightmare. Because it basically, they've always played the role of like the middleman. It's always been like the East versus West, the Soviets versus the US. And they've always been like the sworn enemies, if you like, as has been portrayed in movies for the last since the end of the Second World War. And still today, it's still Russia is still always portrayed as a bad guy. Russia collusion, Russian hackers, blah 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 blah.
And as we've discussed before,
sorry, Freddie, let me just finish. And so he was saying, like, if that's what they could be doing, and if they manage to do that, then Europe is basically finished, because Europe has always been the intermediary. They have depended on this USA v Russia thing continuing, because Europe and the EU benefit from that, because they're in the middle and they can work out all the deals. But if USA and Russia go together directly, then the EU is basically like, oh shit, we're done.
That's very interesting.
Our very existence is now worthless, because that was everything that meant everything to the EU. So yeah, sorry, Freddie.
No, I was just going to say, and as we've discussed before, that hatred for Russia was never really warranted. If it wasn't for the Russians, we wouldn't have, or we may not have got through the Second World War. This idea that they really helped us out, and then suddenly they were in every 80s film, as you say, they were the bad guy. And right from the start, when Putin handed Trump handed that American football to Putin, and he said, the ball's in your court now. I was heavily into the Q stuff then, and straight away I just clicked and I thought them two are working together, because for everything you've just said, if America and Russia came together, it shuts the rest of the world up. It really does.
Yeah, exactly. It's like everything then is any kind of control mechanisms that Europe or the EU had with that dynamic of that relationship are just completely gone, because
Yeah.
now you've got the USA and Russia working together directly in an alliance, and they don't need anybody else. Whereas the EU were always kind of like, yeah, you need us because you need us to do this and to do that and to negotiate. And it's now like, boom, oh, sorry, see ya.
And
Don't need you.
let's not forget that NATO, which in my opinion shouldn't exist now because it's fulfilled its function after the end of the Cold War, NATO would be in trouble.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I think it is in trouble. That's why, I mean, I believe that NATO is the one who is one of the major causes for the Russia-Ukraine conflict. They're the ones who have been poking the bear and keeping it going and initiated it by pushing the borders of the EU ever closer to Russia after agreeing not to several times.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Another great Q post. There was a Q post that he was talking to one of the Anons, and Q's post said, "Wait till you find out who you've been talking to." Thus, sort of saying that Q, the person that they were talking to, was someone that's going to shock them. And you just made me think. I was going with robots and aliens and all stuff. But I suppose if it was a Russian dignitary or even Putin himself, but that's ridiculous. But stick with a Russian dignitary, I suppose that would shock everyone. And that's kind of where I've always been going. That this whole Q, this plan to save the world, if you had Russia and America, as you just said, it stops so many problems.
It does. I mean, I think that was a bit. That was kind of Q, whoever Q was, kind of having a bit of fun and teasing, because we're never going to know who or what Q is or was. That's not going to happen. So,
why say wait till you find out?
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're just kind of teasing them. They're geeing them up a bit and getting them all excited. And it's like, it doesn't. Are we going to find out? Do you really think we're going to find out? I don't think so.
I don't know, but I want to go back to Suella Braverman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be very careful of this person.
And why did you say that?
Because when she was the Home Secretary, she imposed rulings, regulations, but they were actually statutory instruments which lowered the threshold of when police impose conditions on protest. Instead of anything that causes serious disruption, to something that's called more than minor disruption, these vague terms.
Yeah.
So it's ironic that she's now done a volte-face and turned around and is now supporting these protests. But she did introduce these laws which restricted in other words, the people's right to protest. I mean,
we're in very dark times. But we're in very dark times. You don't know if she was forced to do that.
I know.
I mean, she did resign. She did resign as well.
Yeah.
I know.
So
I know.
So yeah, it is. It's like, well, okay. So yeah, as for I was going to say that it's like, who knows? She may have been towing the line, and eventually just had enough and said, I can't do this anymore. So
the most, the most loved by God is a sinner who repents. Of course, I understand that.
But I totally take on board your what you say, Viv. Yeah, I mean, she's a Tory politician. Okay.
She's a politician.
Well, whether she did it or not, I suppose it's still big news because she still went out there and stood against it. So
yeah. I know.
I think they'll be talking about that something chronic tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, people are waking up. And you could say that's for people who used to be, establishment stooges and puppets. Maybe they're waking up as well. And starting to realize, hold on a minute, I've got to do the right thing now. So it could be. We don't know.
I'm being a bit harsh. I know,
but your point is well taken, Viv. It's not.
Thank you.
It's valid.
I like hearing both sides, definitely. So it's welcome, definitely. But do you guys, do either of you two guys know the name of the guy that JD Vance saw last, the one that he spent the barbecue time with? Because it's someone that's not very important, but clearly
Tom
is.
somebody. Tom. He was
We'll have to look into him, I think, because that's clearly important.
Yeah, he was some kind of I don't know. He won some TV, like, so I don't know. He's some kind of guy who
What?
yeah,
He's a
I
young
don't know.
journalist. I believe he's a young journalist.
What? Sorry,
Yeah,
I've just looked this up.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so he spent the most important part of his journey over here wasn't spent with Keir Starmer, wasn't spent with anyone important. It was, and again, if you are listening to me, that gentleman that it was, I'm not saying you're not important, but yeah, he went to see that guy, and I think again, when things like that happen, you have to look in that direction and say, okay, what am I meant to see here?
Yeah.
He did meet with, I think he met with some Tory politician, but it wasn't the leader. It wasn't Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Tories. It was just someone else. It might even have been Robert Jenrick. Actually, I can't remember. I could be wrong, but yeah, he's meeting with some kind of very unexpected people, not the people you'd expect him to meet with. Which, yes, is worthy of note for sure.
Yeah, the man he met is called someone who I'm entirely unaware of because I don't have a television, the television. It's there's a show known as The Apprentice. I don't know if you know about this.
Right,
yeah, The Apprentice. It's sort of, well, I don't know. I don't want to explain it because I'm explaining it to myself. But it's
we all know The Apprentice. The Apprentice is we all know The Apprentice.
I don't. I'm not entirely sure. It's a game show. I believe.
Yeah, you could say that.
It's a sort of
what it is, Viv, is they take and actually Katie Hopkins is famously one of the old contestants on that.
Is she really? Is she?
Yeah, that's what
basically they take a bunch of people that think they're business minded. They put them through business type challenges and pick the best businessmen at the end. And interestingly, it's kind of a Trump era thing where, the whole idea you're fired. He started this idea of getting.
Yeah, I've got it. Thank you. I've seen that. I've seen this now. There's a wiry-haired man who does this in Britain. I've seen some of the episodes.
In the US, it was Trump who kind of
yes,
did it.
Yeah.
And in this country, it was Alan Sugar, Sir
Alan Sugar. Yes, the wiry-haired
so maybe we've just worked out the connection between the three of us. Maybe this is what we're looking at, is that you've got a Trump-started thing here that is now thrown over to Alan Sugar over here. So this is, business-minded people coming together,
Yes.
Well, I don't know which one came first. I don't know if The Apprentice started in the UK and then got taken over to the US.
That was definitely Trump's. He came up with the idea.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So it transported over here. Right. Yeah.
So
this guy, he won The Apprentice, basically. Yeah.
This is the name of the person is Thomas Skinner.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and he met US President J.D. Vance for a barbecue. So yeah, there are pictures here of them smiling and hugging each other, and so I don't know. I don't know what to think of this. I know The Apprentice now. I'm sorry, of course. I have seen it actually years ago when the wiry-haired Sugar, Alan Sugar.
Yeah. It's quite interesting seeing how they test business people. If I'm honest.
Yeah. Well, they all seem to be. I was very like that whole apprentice thing. It seemed to be they picked a very certain type of people to go on that show. They didn't necessarily pick the best people who they really thought were going to succeed in business. I think they really chose the personality traits, particularly specifically, to create a television entertainment show.
Sure. Yeah.
So
there's
this guy,
no doubt.
Skinner, I don't know who this guy Thomas Skinner is. He was obviously. I used to watch The Apprentice when it first started. Then I stopped watching TV, so this is probably a later version. So I don't know who he is, but it's very interesting that he's.
It's too irrelevant to not be relevant, isn't it?
Or too relevant to not be.
Yeah.
I know.
It's irrelevantly relevant.
Yeah, apparently it was 2019 that this bloke won. Yeah, this bloke Skinner.
Oh, so
So,
it's
yeah.
not. So it's not something this year or last year even. It's a couple of years ago.
Yeah, 2019 is the geezer won the apprentice or came first or whatever that means.
I would suggest the fact of him winning the apprentice has got nothing to do with the reason he's meeting Vance. He's probably involved in some kind of business or has knowledge or skills in certain areas. I mean, maybe he's really based. Maybe he's his views very much align with those of certain parties. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, that's an odd one. That's an odd one.
Yeah. Apologies, I'm not sure if he's described on the interwebs as the apprentice contestant. So I don't know if he won or not, but he was 2019.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I would say the fact he was on the apprentice doesn't really mean anything with regards to him meeting with Vance. I'm sure there's some other much more important reason for that.
Yeah.
But interesting nonetheless. Yeah.
All happening around the time, as you say, that all these National Guard have gone to DC, and there was lots of Q stuff about that. But that even aside, there wasn't really a need, a desire, a huge reason for this to happen. Definitely something's going on that the general public aren't aware of. Apparently, lots of sort of rules change for things happening when it's your reservists in DC. Again, I haven't looked into it, so I don't know.
Well, you know what's really quite I suppose good about this or interesting at least is the fact that I think it's the DC mayor, a woman called Muriel Bowser. She's obviously a kind of a leftist loon, and she was finding any which way to try and stop this happening, and she couldn't because it's completely within Trump's presidential powers. It's lawful. He's done it lawfully, and there's nothing she can do about it, which is just really funny. And now he's talking about going after other Democrat-controlled cities, LA, Chicago, whatever else, New York. I don't know if you mentioned New York, but which from all accounts really do need helping because they're just run by a load of basket cases who obviously have no interest in actually serving the people of those places.
And that word lawful, that was the word. I think I'm right in saying that was the exact word that was used by Q in these early things about this sort of thing. It was guard going onto the streets. Everything will be done lawfully.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it's got to be done because it's a constitution. It's a constitution, baby. If you can't go against it at the end of the day, and it's a very very sound basis they have. I wish we had it here.
We do have a constitution.
But it's not the same. It's not the same, though, is it? I mean, it's like it's quite clear that they've been running roughshod over it for years and years.
Yeah, they have. Yeah,
and nobody's really had the strength to go against it until now. And now you have the Trump administration actually going against all of their crazy legislation, and they push back, and it eventually goes all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says no, and they pretty much come down on Trump's side every time because it's constitutional.
Yeah.
I
mean, I do take issue with lawful and legislation and constitutional. I think that they are different things. I mean, I think what we're subject to in this country is legislation rather than law, because I'm a believer in natural law, which is above the legislation put out by corrupt courts. I would also say when we talked about civil war earlier, I do believe we've been at war for a long time. It's the state that is at war with the people. We saw that in COVID. They hate us. They're at war with us. We are at war. We are at war. By calling it a civil war, yes, it's definitely a civil war. It's the people against the state.
Yeah, so people of one country fighting against other people of the same country. I mean, the interesting thing about
That's right. Well, I'm
wars.
not talking about the invaders.
Ah,
That's different. I'm not really thinking about the invaders. The
oh yeah,
boat people.
no,
I'm thinking about the government which
yes,
facilitate this
absolutely.
invasion.
It's still a civil war, though, isn't it? Because it's the government of the people against the people.
Exactly.
um,
That's what I mean.
but but
I
the
mean
very
all the immigrants, the many immigrants that are coming in. Some I'm sure some of them are fine. I'm sure some of them are not. But at the same time, they're not. They don't constitute a civil war as such.
no.
Because they're not nationals.
No, but they may be. If it does turn, God forbid, if it does turn kinetic in any
Mm,
way, I'm sure they'll be sucked
mm,
in to the wrong side.
yeah.
But
Oh, they will.
the whole thing of the interesting thing about a state of war, you say we're at war, Viv, and I agree with you, and we have been at
Mm.
war at least since COVID. But the funny thing is, how when a country is at a war, it's only at war when it's declared by the state.
Ha.
And you know,
Yes. Yes.
and it's like and this hasn't been declared by the state, so officially we're not in a war. But that doesn't mean we're
No.
not in a war just because it hasn't
Well,
been declared by the
Yeah.
government.
yeah, and going back to the DC Guards or the National Guard in DC, that might be a bit of a sideshow because you know the other thing that happened on on the exact same day that Trump ordered to happen.
No, what was that?
He ordered an investigation into the Smithsonian.
Smithsonian.
Is that what it's called? The Smithsonian?
Yeah, the Smithsonian Institute. Yeah, what?
Yeah, Smithsonian Institute. Yeah.
So,
I mean, what was the basis of that? What was the
right.
the
Well,
premise?
apparently, and again, so it's not hidden. This is now just normal news. He said to do with the tunnels that link all, and it's something to do with is it to do with their evidence rooms? And there's lots, and he said it's to do with the tunnels underground. Now, remember about 4 months ago or something, the same happening with the gold reserves, and him saying, right, I want to go into Fort Knox. Well, now he's put the guard into DC and said, right, I want the Smithsonian investigated. I don't know why, but I find tunnels, Smithsonian, guards in DC a very interesting combination.
He never actually did the audit of Fort Knox, though, did he? That never. If that did happen, it hasn't been publicised.
Exactly, it just hasn't been publicised yet.
Yeah. But yeah, tunnels. I mean, there's lots of stories about tunnels, underground tunnels used for all sorts of horrific purposes. So yeah, there may be. Yeah, interesting.
And another major talking point within the Q posts. So it's not just surmising; it was actually mentioned in the posts about London and DC having almost cities of tunnels underneath them.
Well, London definitely has loads of tunnels underneath it. Absolutely,
Even
no
the old
doubt.
Second World War stuff, people are aware of.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously got the tube system, the underground train system, but there are other tunnels. There are a lot of other tunnels.
Did you know that there's a whole?
tunnels.
Did you know that there's a whole other underground? It was called the Service for the Underground, and that no one even knows that exists.
Yeah.
So there's a whole separate. There's a whole other train system under the train system.
Well, there was a guy some years back, probably going back 5 or 6 years. I can't remember the guy's name. He was a businessman. He was kind of a conservative guy type businessman, and he had this business plan to open up all of these unused tube stations as a kind of a tourist thing, because there's lots of closed stations, tube stations in London, and lots of the old railway tunnels which aren't used, and he came up with this business plan to open it as a kind of an attraction,
That's right.
Britain's unused tube stations. And it was all going. He had it all up and running, and then somebody came in, and I can't remember the details. You have to forgive me, but somebody else came in and basically took it out of his hands.
That's right. Yeah.
And then that was it. You never heard anything again of it. So it kind of really sounds like somebody didn't want him to do that. And like a higher power came in and just sort of stomped on it and said, "No, you're not going to do that." So
it ties in with DOMB, so-called DUMS, deep underground military stuff going on. Bases. Yeah, there were so many of them. So many. People would not believe the size of some of these places.
Oh yeah, I know.
You know.
Well,
Yeah,
obviously, if I even knew about those, I wouldn't be allowed to tell you about those. But
did you? Sorry, Fordy, I've got to ask you this: did you sign any kind of NDA?
you all have to. Yes, of course. Yeah. Many.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, enough said.
No. So sorry. No. Probably what I have to sign is higher than an NDA. I have to sign the Military Secrets Act, the Official Secrets Act.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh.
Especially because I was working on. I think of course I am. So because I was working on Chobham Armour, which was the top secret British Army armour of my time. Because I was working with that, I'm not allowed to talk about how I worked on any of the stuff that I worked on, which is really annoying because there's some really sexy, exciting stuff I can tell people about.
I would love to hear. I'd love to hear about that. I would, yeah. Where are we at? Where are we at with our mascot? I can't even remember who it was now.
Oh God, I can't remember you.
Bob Monkhouse.
Yes. Yeah.
Gentlemen, I want to start with Bob Monkhouse by saying thank you. Thank you so much for introducing me to Bob Monkhouse. I spent, as I always do, I think, well, I don't know this person, so I'm going to look into. I watched some of his early stand-up comedy, and that guy is absolute hilarious. I've never heard Bob Monkhouse's jokes. He's a very. If I'm going to put my own little spin on him, he's like a very. He's like a very polite, smutty man, and it's very funny. Very funny.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's a sort of professor.
Go on.
The early stuff. You know, you're not wrong there. His essentially the lads are a professor of comedy. He used to carry around huge notebooks. Absolute, just his life was comedy. You know.
Hope it wasn't a comedy, but yeah.
Well, it's like that joke I told last week, which I won't tell again. But you know, yeah.
Apparently, his interest. I mentioned he did a lot of charitable work, which went unannounced, and apparently that was because of one of his children suffered some kind of. I can't remember what it is now, but they weren't well. They weren't particularly well. They had some kind of disease or something, and that's what spurred him into his charitable work.
Yeah. Bless him for that. Yeah. I mean, proper charity as well, not bullshit charity.
Yeah.
I watched a great interview with him on. With Spike Milligan as well, and that was quite a joy to watch. Spike Milligan is always. I remember as a young kid being frightened of him. And it's just because he's so weird, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a nutcase.
Yeah.
And,
really
and now I'm older, I'm not frightened of him. I now love him. He's so weird. I love it.
There was I remember one as we were on Spike Milligan, one TV thing I saw with him in it. And it was this kind of this like small brass band playing, you know, and you had the trumpet players all lined up, sort of on the back row of the podium, and they're playing this tune, and the camera is panning along, and you have these trumpeters playing, you know. So you know when they kind of they stand up when it comes to their part, they stand up and they lift up the trumpet and they play their part.
Yeah.
And each trumpet player, as the camera is moving along the line, stand up and lift up their trumpet and play their part, and it moves along like 4 or 5. And then right at the end of the road is Spike Milligan. He stands up and he's got a bottle of Guinness, and he does the same kind of gesture except with a bottle of Guinness.
Yeah. Well, it's I mean, Spike Milligan. These comedians we're doing, okay, which is a valuable thing, I think, as well. Apart from being funny, is to resurrect some of these actual funny people. I mean, Spike was Irish. We can have Irish comedians, can't we? Like, I don't know. You know, there's been an awful lot. Like Spike Milligan and I don't know, Dave Allen. There's loads.
Oh, Dave Allen was good. Yeah, Frank Carson, of course.
Frank Carson. So I don't know.
This is the great thing of having a mascot is that the other names get attached to them, and so we end up talking about them anyway. You know, because there was an interview with Spike Milligan, we've now said a bit about Spike Milligan. It's cool. But...
Yeah. You know what it says on Spike? Do you know what it says very quickly on Spike Milligan's gravestone? You must know what it says. Do you know what it says?
I do.
Is
Yeah.
it something to do with buried this way up or something?
No, that's someone else actually. Yeah, that's another good one. No, it says, "I told you I was ill."
Oh, what a great to be a comedian and even leave a joke on your gravestone. You know.
I know. It's great, isn't it? Yeah.
But back to Bob Monkhouse. You last week you told us one of his jokes. When I said I was going to be a comedian, they're not laughing now. That joke. And I just
the
wanted
most famous one. They all laugh when I said I wanted to be a comedian. Well, they're not laughing now.
Yeah, and I just wanted to read out some of his most sort of popular. I was looking through these, and I just thought, oh yeah, well, it is that old great comedy. So there's this one. I'd like to die like my old dad, peacefully in his sleep, not screaming like his passengers.
Yeah.
Or I got a horse for my wife. I thought it was a fair swap. I'm not saying my wife's a bad cook, but she uses a smoke alarm as a timer. Growing old is compulsory, growing up is optional. It's just all these great jokes that we all know, and they're all Bob Monkhouse jokes. I just thought, it's great, isn't it?
The last one is proper. Is our Irish friend philosophical.
Yeah. Yes. I like philosophical humour. I
do as well. Growing old is compulsory. Growing up is optional. That's very good. That is very good.
Personally, I don't think there's any intelligent life on any other planet. Why should any other planet be any different from this one?
Oh, I'm sorry. These are brilliant, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, yeah.
A lot of people, it's like music. A lot of people say, well, you can't come up with original music now because they've done everything. And people say, well, you can't come up with good jokes because they've done everything. I disagree, but certainly greats like Bob Monkhouse, that your joke is still funny today and still used by other comedians and twisted and changed, but you came up with that joke. It's great, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I
mean, that's about being no intelligent life on Earth. I mean, that just reminds me of the final song in Monty Python's Life of Brian. I can't remember the lyrics now, but there is a couple of lines in there where it kind of, is it in The Meaning of Life? Might be in The Meaning.
Look on the bright. No, it's Life of Brian. Look at the bright side of life.
Yeah, it says there's bugger all here on Earth. So yeah, far-reaching.
Yeah. Very quite, I suppose, quite an attractive man, a young man of his time. Would that be
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
He almost had a kind of a Cary Grant look about him, didn't he? He was in that sort of vein.
Yeah.
Definitely that kind of the person before, when he dressed up as a woman and sat there, he was definitely playing out the working class. The jokes were all about the working class, and I'm working class. Whereas Bob Monkhouse was very much, look at me, I am middle class, and I'm going to take the mickey out of middle class life. So very different to our last guy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Bob Monkhouse, he's very much a suburban kind of character living on the outskirts of London. I don't know if he did, but with that sort of sardonic humour, like saying jokes like real happiness is when you marry a girl for love and find out later she has money.
Yeah.
But yeah, wonderful. Wonderful, I think. the jokes, it's real quality, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's
real quality, some of these jokes. Yeah.
And still very much which we're not really allowed to do anymore, which is taking everything of comedy away, but taking the mickey out of themselves or out of their predicaments or out of their friends or out of their friends' predicaments. And as I've said, as a guy, I think when your friends take the mickey out of you, it's almost a rite of passage. It's like, it's not actually a put down. It's like, you're now friendly enough that I can take the mickey out of you. And so when but they've taken that away from us in modern comedy. You can't say anything about big noses because anyone with a big nose might take offence to it. And it was hilarious.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's
Shut up, big nose.
Shut up, big nose. Yeah, it was brilliant. It's funny.
You call him big nose. I'll punch you on
call
your
me
nose.
big nose once more. I swear I will knock you. Whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was even an American comedian called Jimmy Durante who was called the Snozzle, which is sort of Yiddish for a nose, I believe. I may be wrong. And he just played on the Snozzle thing. He did have a huge nose.
See, my awareness of Jimmy Durante came through the Eric Morgan impressions of him, where he used to put a paper cup like on his face.
That's right, yeah,
and do an impression of him playing my piano.
That's right. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. I mean, comedy. Well, I don't know what to say about comedy. I mean, I laugh at life now because if I don't, life will laugh at me. So, but previously I had comedians. I had people like Bill Hicks and, all those people, George Carlin and all the great British and Irish and all the other comedians, Americans, Australian. So, yeah, we've not got that now. Maybe we do. Maybe I'm wrong.
You used to say, if you can't laugh at yourself, what can you laugh at? And it's a very true statement. It's the ability to be able to laugh at yourself is quite a good thing.
Well, I would say if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? Other people.
yeah. Well, yeah. But it's very true. When you take the piss out of your and that's not a swear word. It's just an English kind of. Taking the piss means basically it means mockery. Really, when you're mocking your mates, it means that they're accepted, because you don't mock a stranger. When someone walks into the pub, you don't suddenly, unless you're a bit of a nasty geezer, you're not going to laugh at them, but you get to know them. But it's a term of affection. Yes, of course,
exactly,
of course.
And there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse than an outsider coming into the group, hearing someone take the mickey out of someone and thinking they have the right to join in, and then everyone in the group stares at them and that's when you realise, oh shit, I'm not at that level yet. I've only just joined the group.
Yeah. Wait a couple of months, and then you'll be in. If your little group in the corner in the pub accepts you, then you're good. Start taking the piss.
Yeah, when they start taking the piss out of you, then maybe you can start doing this.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah.
So on the subject of jokes, to the thief that stole my mattress, know this: I will not rest until I find you.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a couple of those in your repertoire now. They're quite good. I like them.
Yeah. They're quite kind of very good. I don't know how to describe them exactly, but
what did the bra say to the hat?
Go on.
You go on ahead while I give these two a lift.
Yes, very good. Very good.
So, Viv, I presume you're going to tell us a joke that one of us told last week. So,
yes, I'm looking for one, because as I say, as I fall further into the memory loss of old age, I know a bloke though, and actually a very good comedian called what's his name? Bob Monkhouse. It goes: a miniature village in Bournemouth caught fire, and the flames could be seen nearly 3 feet away.
So irrelevant, some of these jokes. I love them.
I know. A tomcat hijacked a plane, stuck a pistol into the pirate's ribs, and demanded, "Take me to the Canaries."
The last time I was in Spain, I got through 6 Jeffrey Archer novels. I must remember to take enough toilet paper next time.
Oh, My God! Oh, is that Bob Monkhouse?
That's another Bob
isn't
Monkhouse.
it?
Is
Yeah,
it? Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
Oh my God!
That was of its time. Jeffrey Archer's a name from the past is not really relevant these days.
I
But
know
just
the story.
for those not in the know, he used to write really shit books.
But he was known as the storyteller. You know.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, he was
Another good, clever Bob Monkhouse one. Marriage is an investment which pays dividends if you pay interest.
Well, hey, I get it.
Yeah.
A mate of mine, he lost 3 fingers on his right hand in an accident, and he asked his doctor if he'd still be able to write. The doctor said maybe, but I wouldn't count on it. Any more pain? Any more pain?
There is more pain.
Let me save you the pain. Oh, go on.
Oh, go on. No, okay. Tommy Cooper. Sorry about this. Tommy Cooper is another one who's been forgotten a bit, hasn't he? Tommy Cooper.
We'll
Anyway,
definitely, I think we'll
Cooper,
definitely have to bring him up sometime.
Just like that. Just like that.
Just like that. Just like that. He was a very good. I was going to say magician. Spoonerism. Police arrested 2 kids today. One was drinking battery acid, and the other was eating fireworks. They charged one and let the other one off.
Yeah. I've got a great story about Tommy Cooper, but if we're going to bring him up as a mascot sometime, I might say that.
Yeah.
He was
he's probably a good one to bring up as a mascot because there's a lot.
Yeah, he was one I kind of had in mind. I've got several in mind. So, but yeah, that's for another time.
No, I was going to save you the hardship of finding another joke and saying, did you get your book through?
Viv.
Oh, I did. Thanks. I'm reading it. Yeah.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah. I got my book. It's very interesting. It's about prophets. It's got a really good, interesting take about prophets in the Old Testament. It sounds a bit boring, but actually, the way he writes is very American, very folksy, very like sitting on the porch. Not that I've been to America, of course, but you know, you imagine sitting on the porch and he's just talking about the prophets.
What's the name of the book, Viv? Sorry, what's the name of the book?
You're making me move.
Oh no,
I can't remember what it was either. The
Is it something of something of some something of something? Sorry, that's no help at all.
No help whatsoever. Hold on, I've got to find it somewhere. Who's going to find it first? No.
Yeah, never mind. You'll have to check out last week's episode if you're interested in the name of the book. It was mentioned then.
The Tears of Things.
Oh, that's it. There you go.
That was it. We're not going to hear from him because he's now looking for the book.
Yeah, he's off. He's off down into his subterranean library.
No. Yeah. Bless him. He's now trying to find it. But
is he back?
I found it.
Hey,
yeah.
It's all right. I found it.
Oh, I know what it was called, wasn't it? The Tears of Things.
The book is called. yeah. Oh, thanks.
No, 4D. You made him move for no reason whatsoever. You made him move for no reason whatsoever.
You'd already gone, mate.
Well,
Viv,
it's taken 10 minutes off my life. That was, or maybe.
Yeah, listen, Viv, look at it in the positive. That's your exercise for the week, mate. You're sorted.
Yeah. I know. Fair enough. Yeah, Richard Raw, The Tears of Things, prophetic wisdom for an age of outrage. And it's all right. It's really all right, actually. When I got it, I was thinking, oh no, it's not going to be another evangelical rant. But no, it's not at all like that, actually.
Oh, good.
It's glad. It's good stuff.
Yeah, because I noticed we've gone over our time again.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I know.
should we
I
wrap
just
up
have to. Yeah, just a very quick joke to end it, which
Yeah.
hopefully ties up everything. It's a Tommy Cooper joke. A dyslexic man walks into a bra.
Boom, boom.
Yeah,
As I
on that
say,
note-
my joke about being a dyslexic is always I hate being a smoker, but I only went in to be a tobogganist.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
excellent.
like the dyslexic devil worshipper who sold his soul to Santa.
Oh. I mean, these sort of jokes might be banned now because you're offending people. But we are talking with a dyslexic person, and also, as I say, I'm someone with dyscalculia, the number version.
Just
So
for the record,
there we go. There we go.
just for the record, I'm highly offended. It's just that I hide it well. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So on that note, I guess it's good night from us, and it's good night from them.
Indeed. You cleared up my week as you always do, guys. Yeah.
Well, have a good week. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Indeed. Thank you, everyone. Yep. It's like being in a pub. Sort of. No, it's not. But there we go.
Whose round is it? Get him in.
Yeah. A monkey pissed in my face.
Bit. It's so random.
So